Fluid AR movement, shell eject next, and we back grooving precise, exact groupings, pressure made, fine tuning, wrong place, life don't like.
Hey guys, it's Chris,
Phil,
and we're going to talk to you today a little bit about red dot sights for pistols. We got a couple in that are new, or maybe not so new, but just haven't been super widely available, and so we kind of decided to just do a little bit of an overview of different pistol mounted red dots or options to mount red dots to your pistols.
yeah, nice stuff. Some really cool, innovative stuff that's out there now.
So let's say we start with the least intrusive and go to the most intrusive. So least intrusive way to do it is going to be the Delta Point Micro.
Doesn't require a slide cut. They're available for Glock and M&P.
This goes directly into the rear sight. See if I can get it to, come on. There we go. Nope, right here. Good job. It goes right into the rear sight dovetail. Let's see if I can get this to change. There we go. So there's a piece that slides into the rear sight dovetail, and then it has two screws that clamp it to the actual slide. It's a super easy install. It requires literally zero modification to the pistol other than removal of the rear sight, but they do give you a portion here that you can paint as a rear sight, so you're not really losing a rear sight. Battery is quick and easy. It's under this button here. That is the button to turn it on and all that stuff too.
And the brightness
and let's see, what else do we need to talk about? It is small, so it pretty much works in most holsters. It's not as far forward as a traditional slide mounted red dot will be, so most holster options will accommodate this. But this would be the least intrusive way to do it. You can do this on pretty much any Glock, even like the regular 43. It'll still fit on there. Your 43Xs, the big Glocks, pretty much all of them. The rear sight dovetail's all the same, so it will fit.
Yeah, that one's going to end up on my 43X because I'm making a change. But I've been running that sight about 3 years now. I've been overall pretty happy with it. Just as I'm getting older, I'm going to go to something a little bit. I find a full window optic a little bit easier for me to pick up, but still, that's going to go on a gun that I carry on a fairly regular basis, and it's not a bad way to go.
The next step is direct mount. So mounting right to the MOS system that is on the Glock or on whatever gun you have. There are lots of factory offered slide cuts, and this is a Glock 19. This is the MOS version. One thing I will say about the MOS is that it is not well renowned for the most solid optic mounting solution. There's definitely a little bit left to be desired there. So what I would recommend if you're going to run, especially an RMR or something of that nature, a little bit larger sight, you get a little bit nicer plate to mount it to than the factory Glock MOS plate. Personally, I run the Radian Guardian, and I'll bring this in so you guys can see it. So this is what the Guardian plate looks like. It has a like a serrated window to protect the actual front lens of the RMR. The rear sight is integrated there, you can see it. The screws on top are significantly more robust than the standard MOS plate screws would be. Basically, it's a post system, so instead of the sight relying on a tiny screw going into a skinny plate, there is a bolt that comes up through the bottom of this plate, and then on top you saw the hex nuts there. They're just a Torx 20, and they go down over top of that bolt and they cinch it down. So you're clamping the sight to the MOS plate, and the MOS plate has reinforced screws that go down into the slide from Radian as well. This isn't the cheapest way to mount a sight to the slide, but it does come with the upgraded plate, and then the iron sights as well are part of the package deal. So this would be your next least intrusive. Buying a gun that is cut for optics, from the factory and then mounting an optic that is compatible with those plates, or buying an aftermarket plate to give it a little bit more durability. That is the next least intrusive.
And
Some
do we usually, we probably don't have that radiant plate in stock, but usually what, given a week?
we
have one
can
in
we
here?
can order them. We will stock them as they are available. They have been relatively unavailable. So the next one would be direct bolt systems. So like Shield sights, they have the RMS series, and this fits a lot of different guns and a lot of different cuts. This will bolt directly down on the 43X and the 48 MOS. They sell an adapter plate to directly bolt right to MOS Glocks, the full-size Glocks, the 19 and 17 and that sort of thing. The 47 now, it's not the 17.
Oh, yeah. Hard to get used to
But
that.
I'll bring this in for you guys. So that's what that sight looks like. It does have a little bit of an integrated rear sight built into it. That would be the next most, the simplest way to do it is just to get a sight that is compatible directly with your MOS slide. As we move down the line, we have this Hollow Sun. This is the 509T. This one is a clamp style, sort of similar to an Aimpoint Acro. This will require an adapter plate in most cases, unless you buy a slide that is actually cut for that style. This happens to be cut for an RMR.
And that plate does not come with the sight now, does it? The old 509s it did, but I think.
This one does have it in the box.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say that all of them for sure are going to come with it, but this one specifically has that adapter plate in the box. That adapter plate would just go on your standard RMR cut, and then you would clamp this on top of that. That's going to add some height, so just be aware of that. But the 509 is a sealed sight, so it has a front and a back lens. Focus, good job. So there's your back lens. There's your front lens. We can get it to do the thing. There it is. And then the solar panel on top that Hollow Sun is widely known for.
And that gives you the option of running just a 2 MOA dot or a combination 2 MOA dot with a reticle.
Yeah, you'd have some sort of segmented circle around it. I don't remember exactly what size it is.
Yeah, I know that center dot's a 2 MOA, but
Yeah.
And they say 50,000 hours of battery life because that does have the solar option, and it has 10 brightness settings on it, and it's a shake to wake. So if it's just sitting there on a nightstand or something, the optic's not running, but the minute you move it, similar to like the Delta Point Pro or the Delta Point Micro, they wake up when the gun moves.
Next up, we have the EOTech.
Brand new product, right?
This is, it's been out for a little while. They have been relatively hard to get a hold of, but we got this one in earlier this week. Part of why we decided to do this video was because we got a couple of the harder to get ones.
Yeah.
This one's really cool. I really like this. The glass is very clear. There's not a lot of, sometimes when you look through these, you get a little bit of like an image shift or like a parallax through them. I'm not getting really any of that at all with this sight. It's an exceptionally clean window. The dot is nice and crisp. It doesn't have an auto adjust that I can find. As far as I know, you set the brightness and that is what it is. Delta Point Pro footprint as well. So kind of an odd choice. The RMR footprint is significantly more prolific and accepted, but they went with the Delta Point Pro footprint on this one. But
Really attractive price point on that site.
we'll kind of get in here so you can see it's supposed to be automatic. It is auto-focusing on you. There we go. Oh, come on. Okay, that's what she looks like there. Very clear glass. The buttons on the side are easy to see, easy to hit.
And guys, everybody knows EOTech's reputation for quality, and it's a Michigan-made product, made in Ann Arbor, Michigan, so kind of a couple of cool things about it. I think they're saying about 20,000 hour estimated battery life on those, and the options are a 1 MOA dot or a 3 MOA dot.
Yeah, I
if
think
I'm not
that's right. I
mistaken.
think you're right there. Last but not least, probably the coolest one that we have up here. This is the RMR HD. These have been a little bit out there. They were released, I believe, last year at SHOT Show. This year they were still kind of a big deal for Trijicon at SHOT. This is actually the first one I've ever held. I've never used one of these on a firearm or anything like that. So the impressions I'm going to get are first impressions. Just full disclosure.
As soon as my slide comes in, I'll let you shoot with it.
Yeah. The really cool thing about this is the front-facing brightness sensor here, the light sensor on the front. I'll show you close up. But one thing that I've noticed is, like my regular RMRs, that's what I have. Pretty much everything that I run a mini dot on is an RMR. And once you're in a building, they pretty much pick a brightness and stick with it. And unless there's a drastic change in light, you really don't get a dimmer setting. This is extremely sensitive. I have it kind of angled down towards the ground now. If I lift it up and it sees the TV on the wall, there's a TV over there, it actually brightened the dot so that I could see the dot more clearly against the TV. And as soon as I drop back down, it drops that brightness right back down to where it was. It's very fast, and it's honestly really impressive how well the auto adjust works.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite part of this whole thing, is that the auto adjust was one thing I don't like about fixed brightness sights, is that you have to pick a brightness and just hope that that's the brightness that you need it at. The RMR with the auto adjust is very fast, but it's not super precise, meaning that it's either going to be too dim or too bright for pretty much all shooting situations. The RMR HD, in this, like what little I've looked through it and played with it so far, it does not appear to have that issue. Super impressed with it. It does have the dot with the segmented circle as an option for the reticle. You can do just the dot as well. There's lots of modes and choices. You can choose
1 MOA dot versus 3 1/4 MOA dot.
and you can choose what we were reading through it. It was how quick it adjusts the brightness, and then how drastically it adjusts the brightness as well. There's a whole thing with programming it. It's really cool. Standard RMR footprint, although it does have the extended lens here, so some things may not fit. Just be aware of that. I'm going to give you a close-up. So you can see there the lens protrudes, like the housing protrudes over the front of the sight. It is a standard RMR footprint, but because it has the lip here on the bottom, it may or may not fit certain things, like the Radiant Guardian that I have on my slide. This would not go in there. You have your integrated backup sight in the top of the hood there. That's your brightness sensor right on the front. Your buttons are the same. They're bigger, but they are the same as the standard RMR. And let's see if I can get it to, there we go. So there's your reticle. Hard to get it on camera, but it is extremely clear. They did a fantastic job with this. So
I'm excited about that one. That's my new personal sight, and
Yeah.
I got to give props and a shout out to my friend Clay. He kind of had laid claim to that because those are pretty tough to get. I told him it was my birthday and I really wanted it, and so he gave up his rights and I grabbed that up. Another Michigan company made
because
in
Clay is a sweetheart.
Yeah, Clay is a
national
sweetheart.
treasure.
Yeah, absolutely. In so many ways, just an all-around good guy. But I just love him extra this Valentine's Day for waiving his rights on that. Another Michigan company,
Yep.
Wixom, Michigan. Psalms 91:1 on the side of it. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I really like that.
Really cool sight.
Yes.
And actually the typical RMR blue lens tint that you get with regular RMRs, you don't have a ton of that with this. I'm looking through the lens and just kind of playing around with it. And you don't get a lot of shift. You still get some of the RMR shift that you typically get, but not a lot. And the blue tint is not as noticeable as with some of the standard RMRs. So really, honestly, I wish these were more available, because I think these would be significantly more popular than they are right now. They aren't cranking them out very fast, it seems. But another fantastic option. If you're going to mount a sight to your pistol, if you have an MOS cut Glock or a factory optic cut slide, there's some great options out there. I would just leave you with this advice. With most factory optic cuts, there is an upgraded plate available. It's almost always worth buying. If you have the money or you have the resources, it's always best to get a slide that is specifically cut for the optic that you're going to put on, because that will always give you a tighter fit and you won't have to worry about shifting or any of those nasty creatures. If you're worried about your RMR having a bottom loaded battery, I have not changed a battery in an RMR in a very long time. I don't know how long they last. They last a really long time.
This new HD, they're claiming up to 4 years of battery life. It takes a 2032 battery, and Trigicon says up to 4 years, depending obviously on your brightness settings. But yeah, I mean,
the other thing I do, and I'll show you guys this. So on top of my RMR here, I have the screws indexed with a paint marker, and I did them in 2 different spots on each screw. If you put this back together and you line those marks back up, 99% of the time, you're not going to lose your zero. It ends up being the exact same spot. I've taken it on and off multiple times. It doesn't go away. So the idea of, you got to re-zero it every time you change the battery. First of all, you're only changing the battery like once every 18 months at the very most. Mm-hmm. And then second, if you index your screws like you should be doing anyway, if you put them both back in the same spot and torque them to the same location, I have yet to have this not be zeroed using that method. So take that for whatever it's worth to you.
Yeah, so a lot of cool options, guys. It's when you think about the big picture here, this is something that, God forbid, someday you might have to defend your life with it or someone else's. It is worth investing in equipment that is going to give you the best possible chance to come out of that kind of an altercation in the best possible shape, right? I mean, nobody ever wants to go there, but it could happen, and a lot of different options, a lot of different price points.
And we back
really cool things to think about.
That's what we got. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Have a good
thank
one.
you.